Good evening. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. It's match day or match night, whatever way you want to describe that. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Exeter Twitter handle, and I'm joined by Ryan McGinley, who's somewhere near Celtic Park, as we preview Celtic versus Dundee. It's the team news and the live reaction. Ryan, team news, big start for Jota. His second home debut, Ryan. There's the team there if you want to take us through it as you usually do. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, no bother at all. So the starting 11 for tonight's game against Dundee, that rearranged match from last month. You get Kasper Schmeichel in goals, a back four right to left of Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty and Greg Taylor. Midfield three of the captain Callum McGregor alongside Arne Engels and Rio Hatate. It's Daizen Maeda on the left, Jota on the right and Adam Ida up front. Tony, have you got the subs there?
I have indeed. I'll just flick them up. Give me a second. Sorry, I didn't have them to hand, but I shall find them. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I had it up a second ago and it disappeared.
I'll just read out the team while you're finding that once again. So it's Kasper Schmeichel in goals. We've got a back four of Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty and Greg Taylor. A midfield three of Callum McGregor, Arne Engels and Rio Hatate, and a front three of Jota on the right, Daizen Maeda on the left, and Adam Ida up front. So plenty of changes. Jota in there from the start. We've got Arne Engels back in the team, and Alistair Johnston's back in the team as well.
Indeed, and the subs are Sinizalo, Scales, Kuhn, Yang, McCowan, Sloop, who starts on the bench, Jeffrey Sloop, deadline day signing from Crystal Palace on loan, Johnny Kenny, Bernardo and Ralston. So that's, as I say, the Jeffrey Sloop has to make do with being on the bench, Ryan, but Jota gets his first start, second debut, second homecoming. Are you expecting big things again from Jota, Ryan?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially because last time out he scored a late goal and sort of stole all the headlines. It seems as if we'd wrote everything and then we had to redo everything because Jota had scored on his third debut for the club, because he'd scored in his previous two, one against Raith Rovers, who he'll be hoping to play against next time out, and against Aberdeen when he came back from loan on that permanent deal. So he's managed to score on all three of his debuts for Celtic. Here's hoping that he can score on his first start since coming back to the club as well. It's an exciting front line. You know, you've got Adam Ida who's scoring goals, you've got Daizen Maeda who's scoring goals, and Jota who's into that habit once again of scoring goals for Celtic. So a dangerous front line for Celtic.
Yes, very much so. And also a chance to re-establish that 13-point lead at the top of the table, Ryan. Tony Docherty's men gave Celtic a hard time at Dens Park. 3-each draw, Celtic scoring a late penalty from Arne Engels after twice being ahead. So you know what they're capable of. They can give you problems. This is by no means what you would term a gimme, Ryan. Celtic have to perform tonight.
They certainly do. And although Dundee were on the end of quite a drubbing at the weekend, they'll be hoping to make amends for that. And they'll know that they've played well against Celtic in the past. Tony Docherty's sides tend to do well against Celtic and show good performances, most recently at Dens Park, in which Celtic were in a bit of a game. Yes, they had chances to win that game, but so did Dundee, and they got 3 goals to Celtic's 3, so a draw was a fair result on the night. You know, it's a different prospect altogether going to Celtic Park. They know that they've been beaten a couple of times here before quite heavily, and they'll be hoping that they don't get the same. But they might have that bit of worry in their head that they might get another drubbing, because Hearts gave them one at the weekend. They'll be thinking, we don't want that to happen again. But, you know, you're going to the home of the champions, you're going to Jota's house. It's his big showreel tonight. He's looking forward to having his first start back at the club. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes down, to be honest, because I think if Celtic start purring, there's only going to be one winner on the night.
He stole the limelight from Callum McGregor on Sunday. Callum McGregor was making his 500th appearance. I believe there'll be a special presentation to him tonight in front of the home crowd before the match for that. But he was always going to steal the show, wasn't he, Jota, regardless of what he did? And then he came on and scored a memorable goal. But you mentioned Adam Ida as well. 3 goals in his last 2 matches, 2 goals in particular against Aston Villa. But for me, Ryan, you know, those were real strikers' goals that he scored. And it's those idiosyncrasies and behaviours that I talk about a lot. And I was delighted for Adam Ida because it's there. It's in his locker, and he can do that. Fuck up on Sunday, and I said to the manager, he reminded everybody that he can do it, and he kind of looked at me and said, "Well, there's a lot of people in your profession that didn't think he could," and so that was just a wee kind of, I know what he can do. I watch him. I see this guy every day, and this is a wee gentle reminder why he's here. Ryan, he will score.
Yeah, he will score goals if he's given the service, and I think it helps the fact that he's got Jota now back, and he'll be. I know they've never played before, but he'll certainly watched them before, especially if he's a Celtic fan watching games in which Kyogo's benefited from the likes of Jota, Giakoumakis. He'll be looking at Giakoumakis and thinking, I can get that delivery from Jota as well, and maybe get on the end of some of the crosses. He's a very good assister as well as a goal scorer, so he's a very good team player. But as is Daizen Maeda, who's been getting goals and assists aplenty this season. So there's goals all over the pitch for Celtic, which is great. It's great knowing, especially due to the fact that they haven't signed another striker. It's a bit of a risk, but at the same time, a lot of the goals this season have been coming from the wide areas, and obviously Adam Ida's total's getting better as the games go on. You're hoping that can improve as well by the end of the season, and in the midfield as well, scoring goals from there, likes of Callum McGregor, Arnott Engels from the penalty spot, and other players, Rio Tati from long distance too. So there's goals all over the pitch for Celtic, but Adam Ida will be hoping that he can be the main man from now until the end of the season. As much as Brendan Rodgers talks about his strikers, not needing to score 40 goals a season, you can't say that. You can't say that to a Celtic striker. They'll be looking to score that amount. They'll be trying to get as many goals as they can for themselves. I want to see a greedy Adam Ida tonight. I want to see a fired up one. Not one that maybe knows that he's the first choice striker. I want him to play with that hunger and that desire that when the summer comes around, he's suddenly saying, Celtic don't need to buy another striker because I'm the main man at the club. That's what I want to see tonight from Adam Ida.
Yeah, Big Dom coming in here. So looking forward to seeing Johnny Kenny and Jeffrey Schlupp possibly coming off the bench. It would be good to see them. But tonight, you mentioned a player there, and I wanted to bring it up because I don't think enough's been made of it, Ryan. Arnott Engels. Now, I've watched the highlights back. What a pass that is to Maeda that leads to Jota's goal. And I don't think it's been mentioned enough because obviously Jota got all the plaudits in the headlines, but what a ball. An absolute pinpoint delivery. Lots of people said that he was actually intending it for Yang. No chance. That was a skillful pass played around by a guy who knew exactly what he was doing. And I would say if Matt O'Reilly had did that, everybody would be raving about it. So I don't think it's been raved about enough, Ryan. It's a stellar contribution. And then obviously Maeda looks up and sees Jota and lays it on a plate. But it's the pass that just opens everything up for me from Engels. And again, another one who has these quality moments, Ryan, and he can provide them, regularly. And that's why he's starting to show his class.
Yeah,
coming in there, Engels, an unbelievable football. He's been our best player for weeks. I think we would both agree with that.
I'd probably say Daizen Maeda's been Celtic's best player over the past few weeks, but Engels is right up there. I think he's kind of went under the radar because Celtic have got so many midfielders at the moment. They've got Rio Tati, who's very talented, Paulo Bernardo, Luke McCowan, Callum McGregor, obviously the captain. But Engels is, he's the diamond in that midfield. He is the one that Celtic has spent the most money on. He's a record transfer in terms of fee paid for a player. I just think he's got everything. He's got that movement. He's got a bit of aggression in his game as well. He can play in a multitude of positions. He did that at Augsburg, and you're hoping that he can maybe do similar at Celtic too. Because I want him to be playing every game. I want the £11 million player to be playing as many games as possible for Celtic. He's got that ability from 12 yards in the penalty spot as well. Yes, he missed one, but
I've forgiven him for that, Ryan.
Yeah,
I've forgiven him for that.
It's usually two penalties and you're out when it's Tony, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. 2 strikes and you're out, indeed. Yeah.
In the same game as well. But yeah, he's a talented football player. He's still not the finished article. He won't be for another 5, 6, 7 years, I would presume. But you're hoping that you can see a really good version of him at Celtic, both domestically and on the European front. I thought he was really good against Aston Villa. He was good when he came on at the weekend against Motherwell. I like that they're managing his games, because I think there's a hunger to see more and more of him. But at the same time, they're managing him. They're allowing him to play in some games and come off the bench. But if he's making a difference when he's coming off the bench, then you've got to start him in the next game. I'm glad that's been the case. Rodgers has seen that he made that positive impact coming off the bench at the weekend and has rewarded him with a start. And here's hoping he can take that chance with both hands tonight.
Yeah. What are you expecting tonight, Ryan? Are you expecting a real Celtic to come out the traps and go all guns blazing because they're at home and try and get the game put to bed early?
I'm expecting excitement every time Jota gets the ball. It's that first home game. There was excitement when he was on the ball away from home. When there's a couple of thousand fans were at Fir Park, you could hear the excitement in the air whenever he got a touch of the ball. It was that run that he had towards the end where he beat 2 or 3 players. I've watched that again a couple of times on Sports Scene, and it's vintage Jota. That's what we want to see in the coming weeks once he gets to his final form, almost back to the Jota that we all know and love. But I'm expecting excitement, but I'm also expecting a bit of excitement whenever Daizen Maeda gets the ball as well. I think his performances recently, maybe they've not gone under the radar, but people are starting to appreciate just how much Daizen Maeda is bringing to the table, bringing to the party, not just his defensive work, but also his offensive skills as well, getting goals and assists. It's one hell of a shift he puts on every single game. I'm just expecting some free-flowing football tonight and a couple of goals to go with that as well. Maybe more than a couple if they're feeling up for it.
The praise doesn't get any higher than the manager saying you scored a Henrik Larsson-like header.
He's not wrong.
He isn't wrong. And it was a textbook header, and the King of Kings would have been proud of it himself, to be fair. But yeah, an unbelievable contribution from Daizen Maeda so far in terms of goals and assists. So I think it's 24, isn't it? 16 goals, 8 assists. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it's 24. That's a tremendous return, Ryan. And Kuhn's also got 16 goals. So, your wide players are pretty stellar in terms of their contribution. And now, as you said, you're hoping that Adam Idah comes out the traps and starts to show exactly why Celtic shelled out £8.5 million for him. I've never ever doubted the fact that Adam Idah could score goals for Celtic. So I'm looking for Celtic to really be on the front foot as well. You stopped short of saying kind of roaring free scoring, never boring, didn't you? But you did say kind of free flowing. But I'm expecting that too, Ryan. I'm expecting Celtic to really come out the trap tonight and put on a show. And you were talking about fans. A wee bit of breaking news earlier today. Celtic are still waiting for UEFA to make a decision on whether or not the away fans will be allowed to travel to Munich for the second leg of the playoff round. But in contrary to reports were putting out that Celtic would be able to have fans. That's not been confirmed by European football's governing body, but I think Celtic are quietly confident that will happen, Ryan, and any decision that's going to be taken will be made after the playoff round is played and might affect a future match.
Yeah, if Celtic are to get put out, then that's maybe a worst case scenario in which could be a qualifier that Celtic lose out on fans in next season. If Celtic were to get put out, as you would, not to be defeatist or anything like that, but it's Bayern Munich that Celtic are playing against. They are obviously the favourites. So if that was to roll on to next season against a qualifying team or a team in the qualifiers, then that's not ideal. But we're hoping for the best case scenario of maybe just a slap on the wrist with this. We don't know the full ins and outs of the verdict yet. I think a couple of places jumped the gun when it came to that news today. But it's as is at the moment. There will be Celtic fans. As it stands, unless anything changes, there will be Celtic fans in Munich, which is good to see because they'll come in their hundreds, they'll come in their thousands, hundreds in the stadium probably, and then thousands outside in Munich. Hopefully that can be the case, but we're still waiting on further announcements on that front.
Yeah, still waiting for confirmation from Celtic and obviously UEFA on that front. But what are you expecting from the Celtic supporters inside the ground tonight, Ryan? You expect them to really get behind the team?
Yeah.
Or are you expecting some form of protest or something negative from the stands?
I just wonder if groups will maybe mention the fact that there wasn't a striker brought in. I'm not sure if they'll voice their discontent, but I think everyone else will be just hoping it's back to business, back to a home game. It's been a wee while since Celtic played at home.
Yep.
Actually, thinking back to the last time Celtic played at home, I believe it was the Young Boys game. So it's been a while, just due to that game, due to this game being rescheduled as well. It wasn't ideal, but just hoping for a good response from the fans tonight, a good response from the team on the pitch, another 3 points. Go 13 points clear. It's just looking a little bit too close. I'm liking it at 10. I want it to be 13 points by the end of play tonight. Indeed.
Now, before you go, Ryan, I'll ask you for a prediction. Got a few predictions coming in here. Thomas Burns says 3-0 Celtic. Natalie McMullen says 6-0 Celtic. Jackie Dillon says 4-1 to Celtic tonight. And Alexander B. Great says 4-0 to Celtic, and 420 somewhere saying 5-0. Ryan, before you go, I'll let you boost away and get yourself ready to watch it. What's your prediction for tonight?
I'm going to go for 4-0 Celtic. I think there'll be goals tonight. I can't see Jota not scoring tonight. I can see him scoring at home as well as away.
I usually go 1 up or 1 down, so I'll go 1 up, Ryan, and I'll say 5-0 then. Francis Liker saying 4-0 the boys. Colin Rogers saying 7-0 in regular comment. Or Hazel Finn, even Hazel saying 4-0, and Mark McQueen saying 4-1. I guess, and Francis Gribben, I guess we may as well say that. Enjoy the game, everyone, wherever you're watching. I know where you're watching, Ryan, but here's hoping Celtic can take that opportunity. Scoreboard pressure again, Ryan. Both 13 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership table. We'll be back afterwards to divulge and digest everything that's happened this evening. Ryan, enjoy the game. Wherever you're watching it, guys, enjoy it. And we're hoping that Celtic do make it a win and Stubbs 13 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership table. We'll see you all soon. Take care.
Cheers, guys.